What if I told you the Atlanta Falcons could sign one of the NFL's top pass rushers, but it could come at a price that might shake up the entire franchise? And what if I told you that at the same time, the team's most expensive quarterback might not even start this season? This isn't just talk. ESPN's Bill Barnwell has put this exact scenario out there, and it could change everything. I'll dive into the details, but before we get started, make sure you hit that like button so you don't miss the latest updates. Now let's talk about the huge trade that has Falcons fans buzzing. Barnwell's latest mock draft isn't just about predicting which rookie the team might pick. It's a bold proposal full of trades, with Micah Parsons right at the center. Yup, you read that right. The three-time All-Pro linebacker from the Dallas Cowboys could be coming to Atlanta in a daring three-team deal involving the Cowboys and the Cleveland Browns. Here's how it would go down. The Cowboys would get Cleveland's number 2 overall pick, giving them a shot at one of the top quarterbacks in the draft, plus the Falcons' number 15 pick. The Browns would drop to number 12 and also receive Atlanta's 2026 first-round pick, along with another future selection from Dallas. And in return, the Falcons would get Parsons, a generational talent who's had 12-plus sacks in each of his first 3 NFL seasons. But let's be honest, this is no small move. The Falcons would be giving up 2 first-round picks, which is a big commitment for a team that's still figuring out its identity under head coach Raheem Morris. On top of that, Atlanta is already $13 million over the salary cap. So how could they afford Parsons? Barnwell suggests the Falcons could make room, especially once Kirk Cousins, yes, the same Kirk Cousins who signed a huge 4-year, $180 million deal, eventually leaves. There's even talk that Cousins could end up as a backup quarterback, which adds to the confusion. Barnwell compares this potential trade to when the Chicago Bears acquired Khalil Mack from the Raiders back in 2018. But here's the difference. Parsons is younger and has already been more productive than Mack was at that point. This isn't just a move for right now. This could be a game changer that shapes the Falcons' defense for the next decade. Atlanta hasn't had a player with 12-plus sacks in a season since Vic Beasley in 2016. Imagine how a player like Parsons could instantly change that. But is this trade even realistic? Cowboys VP Stephen Jones insists Dallas feels good about Parsons' contract talks, so a deal like this might never happen. But if Parsons does become available, Atlanta will have a tough decision to make. Would they give up multiple first-round picks and stretch their already tight cap space for a player of his caliber? Or would they take a chance on drafting a pass rusher, hoping he becomes as dominant as Parsons already is? And speaking of cap space, the Falcons are already making moves to create some breathing room. They recently restructured Jesse Bates' contract, turning $11.25 million of his salary into a signing bonus. That alone freed up $7.5 million, bringing Atlanta's cap space to around $6.8 million. Is this a necessary step, or could it mean something bigger is on the horizon? Are we gearing up for a trade like the one Barnwell suggested? If that's not enough excitement for you, let's dive into the situation with Kirk Cousins. The quarterback scene in Atlanta has taken a surprising turn, and Coach Morris isn't hiding the fact that the team now views Cousins as a backup. Yes, the same Kirk Cousins who was given a whopping $90 million in guaranteed money just a year ago. He was supposed to be the player to finally bring stability to Atlanta's offense. The signs were already there when the Falcons drafted Michael Penix Jr. just 6 weeks after signing Cousins, but now it's almost official. Morris is making it clear that the team feels very strongly about Cousins as their backup quarterback. While the team is trying to handle this situation as professionally as possible, it's clear that things are complicated behind the scenes. Cousins' contract has a no-trade clause, which means he gets to decide if he stays or goes. But would he really want to stay in Atlanta just to watch from the sidelines while Penix plays? He's made it known that he still wants to be a starter, and if a chance comes up elsewhere, both he and the Falcons might have to make a tough choice. This is where things get tricky. Cousins had a rough end to last season, throwing only 1 touchdown and 9 interceptions in his last 5 games. He later said injuries were part of the problem, but Morris wasn't quick to support that claim. The Falcons only listed him on the injury report once for elbow and shoulder issues, and at that time, Cousins called it a mistake. Now, after a tough finish to the season, his future in Atlanta is looking uncertain. Morris has made it clear the Falcons aren't keeping Cousins against his will. If the right trade offer comes in, they'll consider it, but will any team be willing to take on his contract? That's still up in the air. For now, Cousins isn't expected to join the voluntary OTAs, and you can bet Falcons fans will be watching closely to see how this all plays out. So let's recap. The Falcons are at the center of one of the most exciting trade talks in recent memory, possibly giving up 2 first-round picks for a defensive superstar. They've restructured contracts to create more cap space, hinting that more moves could be on the way. And now, their $180 million quarterback is officially seen as a backup, setting the stage for one of the biggest offseason stories in the NFL. Now, I want to hear from you. Would you be willing to give up 2 first-round picks for Micah Parsons? Should Kirk Cousins stay in Atlanta as a backup, or is it time for the Falcons to move on? Share your thoughts in the comments. And let's take this a step further. If the Falcons go all in on Micah Parsons, what could that mean for the future of the franchise? For years, this team has struggled to find a true game-changing pass rusher. Think about it. Atlanta has used several draft picks on edge rushers, but none have turned into long-term stars. Takk McKinley? A bust. Vic Beasley? He had 1 great season and then faded away. The Falcons have been missing a strong defensive presence for almost a decade, which makes this trade opportunity so tempting. Micah Parsons is different. He's not just a good player, he's already a superstar. Since joining the league, he's been a nightmare for offensive linemen, racking up 12 or more sacks in all 3 of his NFL seasons. But it's not just about the sacks. His ability to disrupt plays, force fumbles, and pressure quarterbacks at an elite level is something Atlanta hasn't seen since the days of John Abraham. Now, let's look at the financial side. The Falcons are already over the salary cap by $13 million. Bringing in Parsons wouldn't just cost draft picks, it would require some serious financial maneuvering. This is where things get interesting. One of the easiest ways to create cap space? Moving on from Kirk Cousins. Here's how it all connects. Keeping Cousins past the 5th day of the league year triggers a $10 million roster bonus for 2026. But let's be honest, Cousins isn't part of Atlanta's long-term plans. If the Falcons can find a trade partner, they could free up space and possibly regain a pick they'd lose in a Parsons trade. However, that's easier said than done. Cousins has a no-trade clause, which means he has full control over where he goes. If he doesn't want to leave Atlanta, he doesn't have to. The only way this works is if Cousins decides he wants a fresh start. And let's face it, why wouldn't he? He's not going to be happy just being a backup. The challenge is finding a trade partner. Cousins will only waive his no-trade clause for the right situation. So, should the Falcons try to move Kirk Cousins to create more cap space? Or should they stick with what they have and hope to develop their own star pass rusher? I want to hear your thoughts in the comments. And if you're as invested in this Falcons offseason as we are, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more updates, and turn on notifications so you don't miss a thing. Go Falcons!